Welcome to How to Graph Data with the fx-CG100. In this video, we will demonstrate how to graph and analyze pie charts, bar graphs, scatter diagrams, and box plots. To start, we need to enter some data in a list. Press Home and select Statistics by scrolling or using the shortcut. For convenience, we will enter our data in list 1 or scroll to store in a different list. Enter the data, confirming after each value. Then scroll to the top of list 2. We can now graph a pie chart using the data just entered. Press Right tab to go to Setup. A pop-up opens with 4 choices. Select Draw Statistics Graph. The setup screen for drawing graphs is displayed, where the types and numbers of graphs can be set. By default, only graph 1 has any settings at this point, but any graph number can be selected. Select graph 1 to change the settings. To change the type of graph, scroll or press OK. A pop-up opens listing the available graphs. Select Pie Chart to display the settings. As the default settings are list 1 data with percentages, no changes need to be made. Press Right tab to see the graph and the values. Sometimes it may be useful to store the calculated percentage values. Press Tools, and from the pop-up menu, select Save Percentages in List. Enter the list number 2 to store the values next to the data. Then confirm to return to the graph. Press Back to return to the list editor where the percentages have been stored. We can now enter some more data to enable graphing a different type of graph. Enter the data 8, 4, 5, 10, and 8 in list 2 and scroll across to the top of list 3. Then enter 10, 3, 6, 7, and 9 in list 3 and scroll across to the top of list 4. From the 3 datasets entered, we can now graph a bar chart. Right tab to set up as before, and select graph 1 again to change the settings. This is easier than setting graph 2 to bar graph, as graph 1 would have to be set to none, as different types of graphs cannot be drawn at the same time. Scroll to change the type, and select bar graph. This changes the settings menu, but list 1 is still the default data. Select data 2 to include more data in the graph. Change from None to List, and enter a list number, in this case 2. Confirm to return to Setup. Use the same method to change data 3 to list 3, so that our graph will have 3 datasets included. Right tab to Graph, where the different data has been automatically differentiated by color. Simple analysis of the graph can now be performed. Press Tools and select Trace. This places the cursor on the first data item in data 1, displaying the value at the bottom of the screen. Scroll across to move the cursor through data 1, or scroll up and down to swap between datasets. Then press Back to end the analysis. For other graphs, enter different data. Left tab to return to the list editor, and enter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in list 1, overwriting the existing data. Then enter 1.1, 1.9, 2.9, 4.2, and 5.1 in list 2. We can treat this data as paired or bivariate data and graph a scatter diagram. Right tab to Setup, and select Graph 1 again, and scroll to change the type of graph. Select Scatter Plot to display the default settings, or any previously stored scatter settings for Graph 1. Right tab to Graph. From the graph, we can analyze and calculate some useful values. Right tab to Setup, and select Linear Regression, either AX add B or A add BX, as the graph suggests a linear relationship. The equation of the regression line is calculated, together with the BMCC and mean square error. Further calculation can be made by pressing Tools. Then select Calculate Summary Stats. As the regression values have just been found, select toVariable. This displays the X summary values starting with X bar. Scroll to view the Y values, and then the XY values. To investigate further, we can draw the regression line as well as the data. Right tab to the graph, and press Tools. Then select Draw Regression Graph, and Linear Regression to draw the line and the data on the same graph. Both the line and data points can now be analyzed. Press Tools, and select Trace. This places a cursor at the center of the regression line, displaying the coordinate values. Scroll left and right to move the cursor along the line, or scroll up and down to swap between the line and the data, to allow easy comparison and calculation of residual values. End the analysis with Back, and press Tools again. This time select Graph Solve, and YCal. Enter a value of X, such as 3.5, and confirm to move the cursor to that point on the regression line, displaying the calculated Y value. A final type of graph that will be demonstrated is a box plot. End the analysis, and press Left tab to return to Setup. Select Graph 1 again, then select Box Plot to show the default settings. Press Back to add another graph. Select Graph 2, which is currently set to None, and scroll to change the type. Then select another box plot. In order to use different data, select XList and change the list to List 3. Then Right tab to draw both graphs on the same axes. Easy comparison of data can now be made by analyzing the box plots. Press Tools and select Trace. This places the cursor at the X-min of graph 1, with the value displayed at the bottom of the screen. Scroll across to move between Q1, the median, Q3 and X-max. To compare data, scroll down to X-min for graph 2. When ready, end the analysis with Back. We hope that you have found this video useful. If so, please do check out our other resources on the Casio Education UK website and YouTube.